Hey, Team Impact. I'm back here getting ready to start our geometry unit. So this packet, and then if you're watching this only has the first four lessons in it. Still running a little bit behind from being out for a week. But we are going to get started in this. Um, we need to keep pushing on here and get through the rest of this material. So appreciate you doing a good job. And let's get after it today, okay? All right. So if we flip it over today, the lesson one in this packet deals with the area of rectangles and parallelograms. So, this is a pretty good lesson. It's a start of some more difficult concepts in there. And I hope you did well in that test. I haven't got back a chance to get after that anyway. Area is the surface measurements of the two-dimensional figures. We can think of it as square units that cover a shape. We're going to use the formula area is base times height. Some people would say area is length times width. They are interchangeable. All right, just depends on what book you use, really. Where B is the and base, and H is the height of the rectangle. Area has always been measured in square units. All right. And the way we would write this, if it was in inches, it would be inches square. If it was in feet, it would be feet square. And if it was in meters, it would be meters square, right? So when we look at these things, the consistent thing is it's in the square units. Okay. Pretty easy stuff today, which we need, I guess, huh? All right, we got our formula. Area equals base times height. Let's figure it out. So to figure out how many blocks, we're going to take the base, which is 5, times the height, which is 7, and we're going to get 35. But how do we label that? Well, we would label that as units square. Units square. Okay. Rectangle 2, formula is still the same. Base times height. Count across, count vertical, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we got 9 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is 54 units square. And now this one's kind of unique. It's a square, but we're going to continue to stay with this formula. If it's a square, you also can say area is a side square, taking a side and squaring it. But really, we should just stay with the normal formula of 4 times 4, which is 16 units square. And you're going to see how I cut that down to U square. Okay. Now, when we're using numbers, of course, don't use your calculator. When you get into decimals and fractions, I don't have a problem with that. We need to kind of get moving here in these lessons. We are about 3 or 4 days behind. So let's stick with it. So our formula is area is base times height. It's going to be area is the base of 8 6/10 times the height of 3. And 8.6 times 3, if you plug that into your calculator, you're going to get 25 8/10, and it's in centimeters square. That is vital that you label it correctly, and it's always in square units when we talk about that, okay? Next one up is nothing different. Area is base times height, okay? And we could have 1.5 times 2 1/4. All right. And again, just using your calculator, I'm fine with that. We're going to end up with 3 3/8 feet squared. Don't do all this work and not show your label correctly. Okay. So that's direct forward. There's nothing to that. But now we're going to start to work backwards a little bit. Okay. Okay. So we can solve for any missing piece of information in a formula by solving a one-step, right, equation. So area can be written, area equals base times height can be written as base equals the area divided by the height. Or, right, the height equals the area divided by the base. So if you know the area and you don't know the h or the b, you can work backwards and figure it out. So what I'm saying is if I gave you the area and I gave you the base, but I didn't give you the height, you could take this and divide it by this, and you would get that. And that's what we're saying there. Okay, so let's flip it over and take a look at this. Now, all right, it's vital that you write the formula down because the formula is going to tell you where to put the numbers. So area is base times height, right? And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to erase this and I'm going to write it a little bit higher. And I'm going to show you the easiest, the safest way to do this. I have the area. The area is 162. I'm going to put that under my A. I'm looking for the B, but the height is 18. We're going to call that 18B. Now, I know this, that if I balance beam and tee it up, because the inverse of multiplication is division, and I divide both sides by 18, 162 divided by 18 is 9 meters, because it is in meters. It's not square units because we have area there. It's just 9 meters, okay? So I hope that made sense there. And that's just going back off of our equations that we had before. Number 4. Circle all the information below that could be used to find the height of a rectangle with a base of 11 and an area of 120. Okay, no problem. So area is base times height. I have the area, 120. All right, I have the base of 11, and I'm looking for the height. So what I'm going to do to solve this is isolate the variable. I'm going to divide both sides by 11 because the opposite of multiplication is division. That cancels down. H comes across. 120 divided by 11. Well, they're just asking us what should be done. 120 divided by 11. And there it is. So working backwards to get the missing dimension is very easy if you set it up correctly and take your time. Let's continue on. Now we're going to talk about a parallelogram. And really, a parallelogram, if we look at parallelogram 2, just has opposite sides parallel. This is parallel to this. This is parallel to this. And that's why a rectangle and a square and a rhombus, they're all parallelograms, okay? That's all it has to be is opposite sides parallel, all right? All right, so we're going to use the formula again as area is base times height, right? Where B and H is the height, all right? We want to make sure, all right, that it is perpendicular or a 90-degree angle, all right? 90-degree angle. I guess I should write that down with the base. So we never use the slanted height. So let's go back to sample 3. Okay, we have 3 numbers. We're always looking for this box. Here's our base. Here's our height. The only time I would use the slanted height is if I wanted the distance around the perimeter. I don't want that. I want the area, okay? So let's go back to 1, okay? And let's take a peek at it. All right, so number 1, our formula is area is base times height. We're going to plug in our values here, okay? So, okay, we want it perpendicular. So, if they cut this and put it over here, all right, you're going to see that it fits as a parallelogram. But our base is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, and this one's kind of confusing because they shaded it, but it's 6. Our height is 4. 6 4s are 24. There's no label, still unit square. Okay. I didn't like that sample to start with, but we have it. Number 2, formula is area is base times height. So we have our values. I'm going to use 9, and I'm going to use 4. 9 times 4 is 36, and it's centimeters square. Okay, don't use the 5 unless they want perimeter. Number 3, area is base times height is 2 times 1 1/3. Here's my third, there's my 2. I'm not using the 1 1/2. And my area is 2 2/3 feet square. Okay, so same formula, just make sure the base and the height are perpendicular to each other or create a 90-degree angle. Number 5, here we go. Mrs. Lewis asked students to sketch a figure with a base of 12 and a height of 6. Did the students complete the task correctly? Describe how the area of the rectangle and the area of the parallelogram, of the parallelogram with the same dimensions are related. Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about Seth. Here's our base of 12 and our height of 6. All right. So 12 times 6. All right. Well, 6 times 2 is 12. Carry the 1. It's 72 inches square. All right. So the rectangle is absolutely correct. So because now let's look at our parallelogram. And again, our base and our height are always perpendicular. So they did that right. 12 times 6 is again 72 inches square. So did they do it correctly? Yes. They both have the same area. All right. Because we use the same formula, right? So yes, same area. All right. Okay. So good start for today. If we flip the page, you'll see the homework is right here. Please show your work. I'm going to be looking to make sure the formulas and all of the work is taken care of. This is due on Thursday. Con is due Thursday. Have a good day.